Good afternoon, all. Am I audible?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Am I audible? Shall we start the class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All of you had sumptuous lunch. Will you be alert listening to the afternoon session, post lunch session? Okay. Today we'll start with backpropagation networks. This is a kind of neural network architecture which is different from the perceptron network what we have seen in the previous class. In the last class we have discussed a perceptron network which is a single layered, a single feed forward network, whereas this backpropagation network is a multi-layered feed forward network. Multi-layered feed forward network. Okay, that means apart from the input and the output, you will have hidden layers in between. So that is why it is called as a multi-layered feed forward network. And then this backpropagation is very special because based on the concept what we are going to discuss today, only your neural network, the deep neural network architecture or the way in which the output classification happens, everything will be discussed. That means this backpropagation network concept forms as the basis idea or the fundamental idea this will give to understand a deep neural network. Okay, so let us see what are the concepts involved in this backpropagation network. And before going to this network, let us first see a couple of things. Generally, when we try to perform some kind of a classification, we will be giving some training data, and then we will be also giving the class label, the target information also, and then the network will be trained. The classifier or the network model will be trained so that the input data and the target will be learned. That means your output of the activation function should be equal to the target label what has been given for that particular set of input. Okay, so if that learning process happens correctly, then what we have to do is we have to give an unseen data which is not a part of the training data, and we have to see whether the network is classifying it correctly or not, whether it is giving the expected target or not. Okay, so that process is called as the generalization. I'm getting echo. All of you, please mute your mic. Okay. So, making the network or the classifier to perform the classification for the unseen data during training process is called as a generalization. Sometimes what happens is when we overtrain a neural network with more number of data, sometimes what happens is the network will become lazy, or it will try to memorize. It will try to memorize rather than trying to differentiate between the two variables and then try to find how each class information is different from each other. It starts memorizing. So the challenge lies between the two concepts, generalization and memorization. So we have to develop a balance. Okay. So the designer has to set a balance between memorization and generalization of the network so that the network will not memorize at the same time it will classify, it will learn properly for the training data, and also for any unseen data it is able to generalize well. Okay, so this is one important concept which you should know. And then in the earlier class we have discussed about only one value for the, one binary value for the output class, isn't it? Say for example, if it is Salmon or CBus, we have taken 1 or 0. Suppose if I am going to classify 5 basic emotions, okay, anger, happy, disgust, sad, surprise, like that. In that case, I can't use only 1 and 0. I need to use multiple numbers, isn't it? So in that case, what we have to do is, what I'll do is, I'll define my target as an array. Okay. Say for example, anger, disgust, happy, surprise, and fear. So I have these 5 basic emotions, and my training data is like this. My feature vectors are like this. This is my target vector. So suppose if the first input data, the features that are extracted from an image which is expressing anger, I will put a 1 here, and rest all I will put 0. Similarly, if the next input data, the features extracted are taken from a discussed image, then I will put a 1 here. Likewise, we can create a target file, okay, target vector like this, okay. So you will have an input feature vectors. I think you all know how vector means what. So if I have length and width for a Salmon or CBus, then you will have only 2 columns and so many fishes data I will be having. So that will be my feature vector. And suppose if it is facial images, if there are 100 images and 5 emotions, so per class I have 20 images. Suppose I take the input features, I extracted eyes, nose, eyebrows, mouth, chin region information, then so many information I will have. So I will have my feature vector, and then I will have my target vector. It will start looking for this entire pattern for the target. Okay, this entire pattern. In that case, my output unit, I will have my Y, isn't it? So this Y in, which is giving me Y, this will not just one output neuron. I will have 5 output neurons depending on my classes. So I will be getting, suppose I have this 5, so I will have 5 neurons in the output layer. Okay, each layer corresponding to each class. Okay, suppose if I get a 1 here, I will assume this is giving me anger. If it is giving 1 in the second output neuron, I will assume it is giving me disgust. Likewise, so on and so forth, I will be getting the data from here, and then I will try to see what is the pattern, and then is it the same as the input. If it is matching, yes, else I have to retrain the model. That way it goes on for a multi-class classification. Okay. So now let us go into the backpropagation network. This is a numerical problem we are going to solve. It will take some 40-45 minutes for solving this, or some 30 minutes. Suppose if we are doing little bit fast, then we can do so in 30 minutes time also. Okay. So first let me draw the backpropagation network diagram. usually these edges will have an arrow. So you can represent these edges with an arrow. Okay. So that it doesn't represent bidirectional. And since it says multi-layer feed forward, the information goes only in one direction. Information in a sense, the input data goes only in one direction. But then why it is called as back propagation? So what is propagated in the reverse direction? So that let us discuss. As per the name implies, it is back propagation. So what is propagated backwards? That we have to see. Okay. So now this is my input. Here, this is my input layer, and this is the hidden layer, and this is the output layer. Okay. So my input layer I am calling as I, my hidden layer I am calling as J, and my output layer I am calling as K. So in input layer I have 2 neurons, in hidden layer I have 2 neurons, and then in output layer I have only 1. Okay. My K value is 1, my J value is 1 and 2, and I is 1 and 2. Mostly we will be referring to J and K only. I we will not be using very frequently. Okay. So now my input X1 and X2. Now we have to write the weights for all these edges. And this weight I have written W1 and W2, and there is a bias whose input is always 1. Remember, for a back propagation network, the input for bias is always 1. Only its weight we have to calculate. Weight will vary. And then here also for the hidden neurons also, for every neuron in the hidden layer, you will have a bias separately whose value is 1. And then we have to calculate its weight. Weight will be, initial weights will be given. So now let us write this weight matrix, and then we will write it over the edge. I think in the initial slides, you might have seen how a weight matrix is written. Now I will write a weight vector, and then let us see correspondingly how to write the weights on the figure in the edges. Okay. V11, V21 and V01 is equal to 0.6 minus 0.1 and 0.3, and next weight vector will be V12, V22 and V02, and that is equal to minus 0.3, 0.4 and 0.5. Okay. Then W1, W2 and W0, this is equal to 0.4. Please pay attention. Sometimes this decimal point may not be clearly visible when I write. So next one is 0.1 minus 0.2. That is why I am uttering the values. So please pay attention. Now let us write these values over the edges. Okay. First let us take V11, V21 and V01. Sorry, V01. So V11 from where to where, and this is my hidden layer. I write as Z1 and Z2, and this is Y in K or Y in only. Y in K, and K is 1. I'm just writing Y in. Okay. And your output will be Y. Okay. So now V11, V21, V01. So where will you write these 3 values? V11 is from the first input to the first neuron, that is connected in the hidden layer. So V11 will be from X1 to Z1. So V11 is 0.6 and V21 is V21 from X1 to Z2 or X2 to Z1?
X2 to Z1.
X2 to Z1, correct. V21 is X2 to Z1, that is minus 0.1. If you want, you write here on top V11, V21. Okay. Always remember this one corresponds to the starting, this one corresponds to the ending. Similarly, this two corresponds to this two, and this one corresponds to this one. Okay, you remember that. And this V01 is actually the bias of this Z1, that is 0.3. Okay. Now similarly, we can write for the other ones. V12, that is from X1 to Z2, it is minus 0.3. And V22 is from X2 to Z2, it is 0.4. And then V02 is 0.5, that is this one, 0.5. This is V02. And W1, W2, W0, 0.4, 0.1, and then minus 0.2. Okay. So far we have drawn the diagram and then we have entered the weight vector values. Suppose in the exam, if the diagram is not given, if only the weight vectors are given and if the number of layers and the inputs are specified, then you should be able to draw the diagram and then note the weights carefully, correctly. Okay. So now let me read a question. We will try to solve this now. Using backpropagation network, find the new weights for the network shown, that is this one. Okay. Using backpropagation network, find the new weights for the net shown. Input is 0, 1. The input vector is 0, 1. That means x1 is 0, x2 is 1. Okay. Input 0, 1. Target is 1. That means I should get my y value as 1. So my t value is 1. Use a learning rate alpha equal to 0.25. And activation function, what we need to choose. Usually in a backpropagation network, the activation function should be differentiable. Okay, that means we have to use binary sigmoid function or bipolar sigmoid function, because you can differentiate the activation function. Suppose if you take a ordinary binary or defining some threshold like what we have seen earlier, we cannot differentiate that. If you differentiate, you will just get a value, a constant 0 or something, or 1 or whatever. You will not be getting in terms of a function again. Okay. In terms of f of x, we want. Okay. So here we are choosing binary sigmoidal activation function. You write the activation function as binary sigmoidal activation function. Okay. So now this solving, I will explain the problem. We have to give the input 0 and 1. All the weights are given. Now we have to find the y, and then we have to check whether the y is equal to 1 or not. For using activation, we have to use the given function binary sigmoidal. In case if the target and then the output y is not same, we have to alter the weights. So for altering the weight, we have to use a certain formula. It is not the same what we have seen yesterday. That was a different one. That is for a simple perceptron, a single layer feed-forward perceptron. We cannot use that. This is a multi-layered perceptron or a backpropagation network. So here the way in which we are going to update the weight will be different. So this problem will have 3 stages, 3 phases. Okay. The first phase is a forward phase. I will explain that. I need more space, so I will be erasing the diagram also. I hope you all would have drawn the diagram. If you have not drawn, please draw it quickly, because till the end of the problem solving, we need this. Till the completion of the problem, we need this diagram. So please draw it quickly. Have you all drawn? Okay, let me explain the 3 stages. The first stage is computing the y. Computation of the output. Computation of the output y. That is the first stage. That is the forward mechanism. That is the forward mechanism. And the next one is, if the target is not equal to y, we have to calculate the error value, and then we have to alter the weights. So there are 2 stages in that. The first one is back propagation. So back propagation of what? It is back propagation of the error. Okay. Not error, the portion of the error or what is contributing to the error, that information is being back propagated. And then third one is updating the weights. Okay. So now the computation of y, we know we have to use b plus sigma xi wi is equal to y in. We have to find this y in and apply the suitable activation function and get a value for y. So we all know how to use this formula. We have done in the previous classes how to do this. So by using that, we are going to find this. So in this case, how we are going to do is, first we will have to find the y in. Y in is finally, so here we have to find z in 1 and z in 2. So z in 1 will be based on these two, 0.06 into this input plus this input into minus 0.1 plus 1 into 0.3. So for this z in 1, similarly for z in 2, we have to take the 0 into this minus 0.3 plus this 1 into this 0.4 plus this 1 into 0.5 will give z in 2. So you have to apply binary sigmoidal activation function to get z1 and z2, and then that z1 value will be multiplied with 0.4, that z2 value will be multiplied with 0.1 plus 1 into minus 0.2, and that will give you a total y in value. So once again, you have to apply binary sigmoidal activation function to get the y value. Now this y value, we are going to check whether this is equal to target or not. In this case, it will not be the same. So we have to iterate once again. So in the iteration process, what happens is, there are two stages here, two steps here. That means when you calculate the y, we know the target is given as 1 and you will not get a value 1. You may get a value either less than 1 or greater than 1. Okay, so you will know the difference between the t and the y. That is a fixed number, a value which you can apparently you can calculate what is the error value you can calculate, and then you can calculate the weights for this W1, W2, and then this is WO, I think, W0. Okay. This you can calculate easily because you can find the weight difference here and then you can alter this weights. But can you find the error that has happened in Z1 and Z2? We cannot find the error at Z1 and Z2 because there is no direct computation formula available like this here. You can't, here you can find t minus y to find the what is the difference between the target and the output that you are getting. Whereas in this case, Z1 and Z2 in the hidden layer, there is no direct methods or means of computation of the error. So what we are doing is, the error what you are calculating at the output layer is once again multiplied with the weights of this particular hidden layer, and then it is propagated backwards to find the error between the error in the hidden layer. So here the back propagation or the weight updation, the back propagation happens in two stages. One is between, or the weight updation happens between the hidden layer and the output layer. So first we will find the error between the output layer and the hidden layer, and then based on that error, once again that error will be propagated backwards to find the error value between hidden and the input layer. Okay, so the back propagation, as the name implies, the error value will be back propagated, or the combination of the errors, it will be back propagated. So first we have to find the error between hidden and the output layer. Then we have to pass on that information to the backwards to find the error between the input and the hidden layers. So once when you know by how much incremental value you have to increase your weight, so that is being calculated here based on the error, and then we have to update the weights. Okay, so updating the weights we have to do last. So this is the procedure. So now let us get started in doing all this one by one. So first let us calculate Z1, Z in 1, Z in 2, and then Z1, Z2, then Y in, and then Y. Okay, so shall we proceed? So this is the procedure. Now we have to just solve it numerically, and there are certain formulas to calculate the error between the hidden and output layer and between input and hidden layer, which I will be explaining when we proceed with that particular stage. Okay, any doubts so far? If you have any doubts, please ask now itself, so that in future we will be proceeding with the computation. Any doubts so far? Anyone? Please raise your hands. Any doubts? Or shall we proceed now? Are you all listening?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so shall we proceed? Shall we start the computation? Do you all have your notebook and then calculator? And for solving this, we will be using up to 4 decimal places for this particular problem, because with 2 decimal places, the output will not be very accurate. So I request everybody to use up to 4 decimal places, okay, for this problem especially. It will take another 20-25 minutes to solve. I hope everyone have done the diagram, drawn the diagram, because I am erasing it, and then you cannot solve the problem without the diagram. At every stage, you need the information. And what is the derivative of binary sigmoid activation function? Binary sigmoid activation function f of x equal to 1 by 1 plus e raised to minus x. What is f dash of x? It was given in day 2 and day 3 slides, isn't it? Day 2 slide, it will be in the list of activation function.
F of x into 1 minus f of x.
Yeah, correct. F of x into 1 minus f of x. Okay. This formula you have to remember for solving. So now we will calculate the net input. So to calculate why we are calling net input is because there is a hidden layer. From the hidden layer, we have to collect the inputs. I mean the output, which will act as an input for the final output layer. So we call it as a net input. So for that, first we will write for Z1 layer. Okay, for Z1 layer, Z in 1 will be, it is our standard formula, B plus sigma xi yi only. Okay, the B is written as B01 plus x1 B11 plus x2 B21, and Z in 1 is equal to, what is B01 value?
Point 3.
Yeah, x1 is 0 into V11 is 0.6 plus x2 is 1 into minus 0.1. So its value is 0.2. 0.2. Okay. And then for Z2 layer, we will apply activation function after calculating the Z in 2 also. Z in 2, if you want, you can calculate here only. Z in 2 will be V02 plus x1 into V12 plus x2 into V22, and V02 is 0.5 plus 0 into minus 0.3 plus 1 into 0.4, and that is equal to 0.9. Okay. Now we have to, this is Z in 1, Z in 2. So we have to put this value 0.2 in this X and also 0.9 into this and find the Z1 and Z2. So can you do this and tell me?
Ma'am, 0.5498.
Yeah, exactly. 0.5498 and this will be
0.7109.
absolutely right. So now what is the next step? We have to multiply this with W1 and this with W2 plus the bias value and find the Z in 1 and then find the, find the Y in 1 and then find the Y. We need not have to write Y in 1, just Y in we can write because there is only one value. So net input, that is entering the output layer. So calculating the net input, entering the output layer. So for the Y layer, Y in equal to W0 plus Z1 into W1 plus Z2 into W2 and that is equal to minus 0.2 plus 0.5498 into 0.4 plus 0.7109 into 0.1 that is equal to 0.09101 and then Y equal to F of Y in that is 1 by 1 plus e raised to minus 0.09101 that is equal to 0.5227. Are you all getting this value? You should get this value.
Ma'am, W naught is bias for Y in, no, ma'am.
No, yeah, correct, exactly. Yes, that is minus 0.2. So, are you getting this 0.5?
Yes, ma'am.
227 and this is our Y value. This is not equal to our target. Our target is 1. So this is not equal to our target. So what we need to do is, so till now we have done the first stage. The first stage we have completed. That means we have calculated the net output value and we have checked whether it is equal to T or not. It is not equal to T. So the next step is to calculate the error and then we have to find the error between the input and the between the hidden and the output, and then between input and the hidden. Then we have to update the weights. Okay. So now let us proceed with that. So for that, we are having some general formulas to find the error portion. So let us go with that formula now. I hope the procedure is clear till now. Everybody solved and got this value. See, please don't simply observe, take part actively in solving. This is very important. Don't think this is a very big numerical problem and this will not be asked for the T1 or T2. I will definitely ask this problem. If not completely, some portion of this I may ask. How and what portion I have not decided. Okay, so you have to learn this. So compute the error portion. So first we are going to find the error between output and the hidden. The error between the output and hidden is written as delta suffix k. Okay, the error between the hidden and the output. You can write in bracket between hidden and output layer. Okay. It is, yeah.
We have the error, no ma'am. 1 minus 0.52 is the error.
Yeah, but that is actually error only with respect to that y, but that error could be caused because of any three weights, isn't it?
And and our target cannot be simply one. It should be an array of ones, no ma'am. Our assumption is only, I don't know, it's wrong, but it cannot be a single number, no ma'am.
It is a single number only because you are having only one output. In the diagram, we have drawn only one output neuron in the entire architecture. So there is only one neuron and that will give only one value, and we are expecting it to give a numerical value 1.
Yeah, ma'am, one output, but we have 5 classes. So 5.
No, not 5 classes. That was an example that I gave before starting back propagation.
Okay, so the error is not just 1 minus 0.52.
In a simple network, it is t minus y. But here we have a hidden layer, and also we have multiple weights. So here the error can be caused due to any weight, isn't it? So we are going to calculate error by using t minus y only, but a derivative of the binary sigmoidal activation function also. I will give the formula. Okay. So the error between the hidden and output layer is denoted as delta suffix k. K refers to the output neuron. You can actually write it as delta 1 also because there is only one neuron in the output layer. First I am writing the general formula. Later we will use it for one. The general formula I will write Tk minus Yk into F dash of Y in K. This is the general formula. You can write as general formula. And then how will you calculate F dash of Y in K? That is nothing but f of y in k into 1 minus f of y in k. This is general formula. In our case, the k is 1. So, and we did not put the k as 1. So, we have simply written as f dash of y in only. So, that will be f of y in into 1 minus f of y in. So, Priyadarshan, as you have asked, I would like to explain to your doubt here. Suppose if I have 5 classes, okay? Anger, disgust, happy, neutral, sad, okay? Now, in that case, I will have k varying from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, I have to, in my neural network architecture, my output will be 5. Okay? So, this will be my k 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay. So I will be finding the error for this particular neuron. For this particular neuron connected to its previous layer, hidden layer neurons separately, and to this k equal to 2 for the second output neuron between this and other neurons to which it was connected in the hidden layer. Likewise, I have to do. Okay, if I use multiple classes classification, okay, multi-class classification problem means I will be doing that way. That is why a general formula is given if k varying for different number of classes. Now, I am going to have only a binary value, that means 1 or 0. If it is 1, then I may predict that the person is looking good or the person is having cancer. If it is 0, then I am predicting that the person is not having cancer. Okay. So my problem is a simple problem where I have taken a binary classification. So I have fixed the target as 1 only for the particular input 0 and 1. Maybe if I change the input instead of 0 and 1, a different input, then I may get a target value as a 1 or a 0. It depends on my initial weights, what I choose, and then the inputs. Okay. Is it clear? So now our our k is 1 only. So I am going to write this delta as delta, instead of delta k, we can write it as delta 1 only. Okay, because our k is 1. Is it clear, Priyadarshan?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Since the formula is very simple and straightforward, we can just calculate it in a simple way. First, let us calculate f dash of y in equal to f of y in into 1 minus f of y in. What is the value for f of y in?
Point 5227.
Yes. So 0.5227 into 1 minus 0.5227. See, why I was specifically asking what is the value for f of y in is, sometimes students may write the previous value y in 0.09101. Sometimes students may substitute here. You should not end up in doing that mistake. That is why I'm asking you. Okay. So f of y in is nothing but your y only. Okay. So you have to just observe the formula carefully and then write. Okay. So that is why I have written y equal to f of y in. When I calculated y, I wrote y equal to f of y in. and that is equal to 0.5227. Okay, so that you calculate. So this will give the value 0.2495. Okay, so now we have to calculate the error quotient delta 1. If you want, you can write delta k also, but we can write delta 1 equal to 1 minus, that means t minus y, 1 minus 0.5227 into 0.2495. If you want, you can substitute everything in one go and then calculate, but just to avoid any mistakes, I am doing it in a two-step process. It is better to do as a two-step process so that you will be very careful in solving this. Okay. And this will give a value 0.1191. So this is the error in the output layer. Do you understand the difference between t minus y value and this value? T minus y is error in the output only. But what is the error in the output layer is this one. That means error in the output layer is being contributed by all the three weights, W1, W2 and W0, all the three weights. So put together, we are calculating the error in the output layer as this. So T minus y is only the error value. T minus y is just an error value between your target and the output. That is different from the error in the layer itself. That means what has contributed to get that error. That is this value. Okay. Now we need to use this one to further calculate the error between the input and the hidden layer. Okay. Now there is a formula. Now we have calculated the error. At the same time, we have to update the weight W0, W1 and W2. So to update the weight, we have to use another formula to calculate the new weights. Okay. I will give that formula to calculate the weight here. So usually the old weight, the new weight, say Wi new is equal to Wi volt plus some delta Wi. That means some incremental W we will be adding. Earlier we have seen in Hebb's rule it is Xi into Y, and in the simple perceptron in the last class we have discussed alpha T into Xi. So here for this delta Wi, the incremental portion what you have to add to the volt weight is given by a formula. Delta W1 is equal to alpha into delta 1 into Z1 and delta W2 equal to alpha delta 1 into Z2 and then delta W0 equal to alpha into delta 1 and there is no other value for the bias. So this is the incremental weight updation formula. This is the incremental weight that you have to find here and then you have to add this. What I suggest you is you can find these only delta values and leave it aside. Don't calculate the W values now, okay? Because we will do all together, all the weights at one shot. But let us calculate this and keep it aside, okay?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
That for y and k, we omitted the k part since it is anyway 1. So in the delta notation also, instead of putting 1 everywhere, we can omit that part, no ma'am, or else we will be looking for something like delta 2. But that is not here in the case, no ma'am. In
No,
this
I
case,
didn't
no.
understand your question. What?
The delta 1 suffix subscript
Yes.
we can, yes ma'am, we can remove, no ma'am, because anyway it is just
No, we
one.
need, I'll tell you the reason. Let us keep this. Let us keep this. Let us keep this because we are going to calculate error between hidden and the input